Anyone that knows me knows that my all-time favorite franchise, not even just in gaming, but in any kind of entertainment or anything that could be considered a franchise of any sort, is the Legend of Zelda franchise. The aesthetics, the music, the merchandise, the lore, and of course the games themselves all win me over in every kind of way. Stories that are engaging, enchanting, exciting, and emotional all exist within the game series, and in its almost 40-year-long span of prevalence, it only makes sense that others would be inspired by the many paths the 21 mainline games have taken. Game designers, like all artists, often draw inspiration from those who came before them, and in this video we're looking at a variety of games influenced by the Legend of Zelda series. Since there isn't just one definitive Zelda formula, I'll be breaking the series down into 4 categories: top-down adventures, both 2D and 3D, 3D action adventures, Toon-Style Adventures, and open-world experiences. For this video, I'll be focusing on only mainline titles and leaving out spin-offs and first-party offshoots, though I might cover those in the future. This isn't meant to be a complete list, but rather a curated look at a few standout examples for each of the 4 Zelda styles mentioned. And with that, we begin with the top-down adventures. In these games, players explore interconnected worlds filled with dungeons, puzzles, enemies, and secrets. The gameplay emphasizes real-time combat, item-based progression, like bombs and hook shots, and solving environmental puzzles in order to advance. These games typically feature a mix of open-world exploration and structured dungeon challenges, all centered around a narrative involving heroism, ancient artifacts, and saving the land from evil. This style of gameplay currently bookends the entire lifetime of the mainline series, starting with the original Legend of Zelda, and then most recently, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. Many games, both Nintendo-made and not, have followed the formula set by the style of gameplay introduced by these Zelda titles, but some feel more so like love letters to the Zelda series than others. Games like Anodyne and Blossom Tales: The Sleeping King take on direct influence of the top-down style gameplay from classic Zelda titles like Link's Awakening and A Link to the Past, featuring dungeon exploration, real-time combat, item-based progression, and puzzle solving. Anodyne sets itself apart with a surreal dreamlike world and a moody, introspective tone, turning itself into something more atmospheric and psychological, while Blossom Tales adds a charming twist by framing the story as a grandfather telling a tale to his grandchildren, allowing for playful, dynamic narration that occasionally alters the gameplay. If you're looking for modern takes on classic Zelda formulas, the Plucky Squire and Tunic stand out amongst the rest. The Plucky Squire captures the charm of classic top-down Zelda with its 2D storybook segments full of dungeons, puzzles, and sword swinging, before jumping into vibrant 3D environments that expand the gameplay in playful and unexpected ways. Tunic, while rooted in the orthographic style of older Zelda games, gradually reveals a more complex, interconnected world that echoes the structure and mystery of the 3D entries of the series. Its blend of real-time combat, environmental storytelling, and open-ended exploration makes it a perfect bridge between the top-down adventures of the past and the more expansive, action-oriented Zelda games that came with the jump to 3D. Which brings us to the 3D action-adventure Zelda games. These entries redefined what the series could be, shifting from grid-based movement and fixed perspectives to immersive third-person exploration. Starting with Ocarina of Time, these games emphasize cinematic storytelling, lock-on combat, and more expansive environments, blending puzzle solving with a greater sense of scale and physicality. Several non-Nintendo titles have taken inspiration from this style, with some even feeling like long-lost entries in the Zelda lineage. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy is a standout example. It pairs light-hearted mythology with dungeon design, combat, and item-based progression that would feel right at home in a GameCube-era Zelda game. Its structure, tone, and clever dual-character mechanics recall the spirit of The Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, even if its setting leans more towards ancient Egypt than Hyrule. Another noteworthy title is Hob, which mixes fluid traversal and environmental puzzle solving with a beautifully decayed world that slowly rebuilds itself as you progress. Though wordless, its storytelling feels rich and intentional, mirroring how Zelda often uses the world itself to communicate meaning. The blend of exploration, subtle lore, and ability-driven progression gives it a quiet sense of discovery that resonates with fans of both Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword. Then there's Okami, a game so steeped in Zelda DNA that it's often described as Zelda with a paintbrush. Its structure, pacing, and puzzle-filled dungeons closely mirror the 3D Zelda formula, and its protagonist, Amaterasu, even moves and attacks in ways that feel eerily similar to Wolf-Link from Twilight Princess. What makes this similarity especially odd is that the two games were in development at the same time, with Okami releasing just 7 months before Twilight Princess. Since both were in development for years, there's no way one was copying the other. It's more a case of creative parallel evolution. Despite its clear Zelda-like gameplay, Okami stands out through its bold sumi-e art style, brush-based mechanics, and mythological storytelling. It also serves as a perfect segue into our next category, the Toon-Style Zelda Adventures, where visual design becomes just as defining as the gameplay itself. Games like The Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks, which embraced a brighter, more expressive art style while still delivering the same adventurous heart, take on a different kind of space in the Zelda timeline. These entries often emphasize whimsy, charm, and emotional storytelling, and their influence can be seen in a number of modern indie titles. Little Gator Game is perhaps the most direct spiritual successor to this side of Zelda. It trades epic stakes for pure, playful exploration, putting you in the shoes of a gator kid in a homemade fantasy world where the goal isn't to save the kingdom but to have fun doing it. Its tone, art, and humor feel like they were plucked straight from the Wind Waker's most lighthearted moments. And while the mechanics are familiar, gliding, climbing, swordplay, it's the game's sincerity and warmth that truly echo what made the Toon-Style Zelda games so beloved. Other titles take this visual and emotional tone in different directions. Blue Fire, for instance, blends cutesy character design with fast-paced precision platforming and a surprisingly dark atmosphere. Almost like if Wind Waker took a tour through a Hollow Knight world. The Last Campfire, on the other hand, slows things down with gentle puzzles, a quiet narrative, and a soft, painterly world that explores themes of loss and empathy. While neither game directly imitates Zelda, they both channel the same sense of curiosity and introspection that defined the more stylized entries in the series. As we've seen, the Zelda series has never been afraid to reinvent itself, sometimes through mechanics and other times through style and tone. The Toon-inspired entries in particular have left their mark not just through gameplay, but by reminding players that wonder, heart, and charm can be just as powerful as epic battles and sweeping narratives. And nowhere is that spirit of reinvention more apparent than in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Games that didn't just reshape Zelda, but helped redefine what an open-world adventure could be. Immortals Phoenix Rising feels like a remix of both Greek mythology and Zelda's open-world reinvention. It takes the puzzle shrine concept and multiplies it, scatters it across a vibrant landscape, and wraps the whole thing in a breezy comedic narration. While its tone is more tongue-in-cheek than introspective, it captures that same balance of free-form exploration, puzzle-solving, and moment-to-moment experimentation that made Breath of the Wild such a landmark. Then there's Genshin Impact, which is often described as a Breath of the Wild-like game, but it's arguably closer to an anime-infused remix of the formula. It lifts the climbing and stamina systems directly, but layers on real-time party swapping, flashy elemental combat, and MMO-like progression. Still, the DNA is there. Expansive environments, emergent exploration, and a sense of freedom that encourages players to chase the horizon just to see what's over the next hill. You wouldn't think it at first glance, but Elden Ring feels like it took some real notes from Breath of the Wild. From the open-ended world design to the way it encourages players to explore without a big glowing arrow, it taps into that same sense of freedom and curiosity. Instead of guiding you from point A to point B, it trusts you to get lost, poke around, and find your own adventure, just like Breath of the Wild did. It's not copying the look, but the spirit is definitely there. The Legend of Zelda isn't just a beloved franchise, it is a foundation of modern game design. For nearly 4 decades, it has redefined how we explore, solve, and discover, setting the standard for everything from dungeon structure to open-world freedom. Its unique blend of adventure, mystery, and memorable moments has turned it into more than just a series. It's become a language that game designers speak when they want to create something timeless. Rather than imitate, many games aim to lean from the blueprint Zelda has steadily shaped over the years. It's a kind of compass, showing how to balance exploration with structure, puzzles with pacing, and mechanics with purpose. For any game designer stepping into the world of adventure games, remember, it's dangerous to go alone, and the Zelda formula might just be the best thing to take with you. But that's just my take. What's yours? Are there any games you think capture the spirit of Zelda that I didn't mention here? I'd love to hear your favorites in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to give it a like, check out my video on Mario's influence on game design, and consider subscribing for more design-focused gaming content. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I'll see you next time.